it's really the players who matter in esports, and they should have lifelong learning. And how to do this is going to be the topic of Sabel Oliver, who is part of the Hungarian Esport Federation and member of the education board of this federation. Yes, welcome everyone. First of all, I would like to say that it's great that so many of you came. During the day or throughout the day, we were more than 150. Probably in the afternoon we are a bit less, but still many of you came, and I would like to talk about education today because I think this is the key to Hungarian esport, which might be the next step for us, which might lead us to a higher level. And as one of my academic teachers said, if you can tell something, it's great, but if you know the why behind it, it's even better. So let's talk about why we need to talk about esports and why we need to talk about education. Lifelong learning, that's the main topic. This is solving the problem of generations. And so this is a generational problem. Of course, the mother will never understand why the kid is not coming for lunch, and the kid is not going to understand why mom does not understand that they cannot stop or pause the multiplayer game. This could lead to much debate, but if the older generation tries to understand this, this might be a connection point between generations, which deepens the relationship between them. A personal example of mine, I'm also dealing with esports. When I was younger, I played a lot as well. And for me, it would have meant the world if I could talk to my mom or my dad about the results I achieved in the given games, but I did not have this opportunity. But if I can tell this, if we can educate the parents about this, that they can form a bond through this with their kids, then they are going to start doing this, because of course they want to communicate with their children. And here is two kind of satirical picture, the arguments that the older generation make against video games. Of course, all this on the left side picture, all these technologies making us antisocial. This is an old picture where everyone is also staring at the thing in their hand. It's granted it's not a mobile, but it's a newspaper. But on a mobile, at the same time, you can communicate with multiple people, which is not possible with a newspaper. And on the right side, there's another picture where the man in the red shirt asks, "What are you doing?" "I'm watching a guy playing a game, and it's quite funny." And then the response is, "You're not even playing, just watching. What a waste of time." And then he sits in the couch and watches a football match. It's the same thing. I already mentioned generations. First of all, I must say that the previous presentation was great. It raised awareness to the negatives of the esport phenomena among the younger generation, and parents have to pay attention to this. In my presentation, I would like to concentrate on the education of this older generation, actually, because the first time my father asked me, "What do you want to do?" and I said that I would like to be an esport manager, then he, eyes wide open, and then, "Okay, so just sit down and let's have a serious conversation about your future." And now he recognizes the potential. Maybe he does not understand, but he's more open to this. And he's always the control group for me, because if he's more open to this thing after I'm explaining him how this works, then I feel that there's a chance for us after all. Here you see what is the main technological discovery for each generation. For our generation, it was the internet. And because when I was a kid, it did not even exist, and then a dial-up internet came in, and the generation of today, for them it's an obvious natural thing. They don't even know that it did not exist. And so each generation has its own set of challenges, and that's how you can understand why a father cannot comprehend what's sport in sitting at home and clicking with the mouse, and then the kid on the other side does not understand the problem. For them it's quite natural that someone earns a living out of esports. And here you have another picture. You have to take a look at the big picture here, not at the small details, because here you see different kind of jobs, professions, which are somehow connected to esports. And I'm showcasing this because if my kid is playing a lot and is interested in esports, then it's not a diabolical thing. He might be able to earn a living. He might not become an actual player, but he might be able to earn a living. It's just the same thing as with traditional sports. Everyone loves playing football. Maybe two of them becomes a player, but the rest can actually find a way into the field, into business related to football. So for us parents, this is something that you should be a bit more open about, and then you might have a closer connection to your kids. And based on this picture, and I'm happy to share this picture in a bigger size, these are actual jobs which are money breadwinning professions, and they are connected to esports. And this is a serious business. It's not only recreation. Here you see again the big picture, how many nations, countries are by continent with their own esport association organizing esports live there. You see continental, global ones, continentals one, and in Africa there are 12 national esports associations. And how you can do this, the key to this is creating an educational plan which is approved, accredited, and unified here within Hungary. This is important because it's not like math, that 2 plus 3 is 5, and it's true everywhere. Management is different. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but still we have to create a standardized education which we do everywhere, all around the country, because that's how we can make steps forward, and that's the only way to educate our nation. And why this is actually lifelong learning. As you can see, I divided up life into 4 segments, periods. The first one is between the age 0 and 5, before school. You have to learn the basics between the first and the 4th class. You can learn the alphabet, counting, and so on. But from that point on, you have to use digital. So the first 4 classes shouldn't be disturbed much, but from class 5 you have to use digital education. You have to create PPTs, and there are lots of games which are dealing with different historical eras. For example, our parents and grandparents had well, I wouldn't say easy job, but they lived through 20th century, world wars and so on. But our kids will have the same kind of opportunity because they can experience historical periods digitally, and gather their own experiences. And the next step is higher education, which is a bit easier here in Hungary. We are lagging behind a bit compared to other parts of the world, but at the same time we can get an international overview and gather experience. We only have to learn, and then we have to do something similar in Hungary. A good example is from the US and the UK. Both of them have already started a BSc education for esport management. They consider the topic so important that they are providing higher education opportunity for the new generation. And I think that's true for Hungary as well, because we simply cannot let managers enter into the labor market without knowing what esport is, because this is a $1 billion industry. You cannot be competitive on the market without at least knowing about the topic. You don't have to deal with it, but they have to have basic awareness. And I think that's the first step here in Hungary. You have to create an educational program for the next generation who will know what esport is. Thank you for your attention.